Hello, Genki desu ka? Welcome to day 3 of Less Effort, More Impact Lunchtime Lives with your coach, your Less Effort, More Impact coach, Helen Iwata, based in Tokyo. And I'm really happy today to answer one of the questions that was in the comments of day 2 live, and that was from Nozomi. So I'm going to give you that question. It's actually quite a long question. I'll give you that question. It's related to self-care and how you how you fit in self-care. Why is self-care important? That's what we're going to be talking about on this live. So hello if you're watching live. This is great. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you for being here. And do feel free to post in the comments whatever questions you have related to this or other questions you'd like me to answer in upcoming lives. I will be definitely going back and checking the comments. So I love this question. So Nozomi, thank you so much. She says, and let me just have a little drink, hang on, a little throat clear, hang on. A kind of clean throat clear, not an icky one. All right, so she said, I'd like to ask a question about self-care. Fortunately, I'm getting a lot of work and I'm so happy to receive work. That is great. But I couldn't do enough self-care such as yoga and journaling. Could you tell me or convince me, she says, how to make time for self-care and how important it is? I was supposed to ask this question. I think she wanted to. She wanted to ask this question before, but she received a message from a client and she needed to change her daughter's nappy and then missed the chance. So I think she means missed the chance to ask the question, not the chance to get the client work, I think. And she said she also has another question related to this, but she has to go and change her daughter's nappy again. Yes, those little kids do keep us busy, don't they? Okay. Oh, hi, Charlotte. Good to see you there. We're talking about self-care. I know you like that topic. So, first of all, Nozomi, you say, can I convince you that self-care is important? Well, that's really up to you to do. I'm not the one to convince you. It's for you to convince yourself. And then you say how to make time and how important it is. Well, let's deal with the important part first, because if it's not important for you, you don't need to make time for it, do you? So to consider, is self-care important? And what I want to mention here is like how we define self-care. So a lot of people think of self-care, and you said yoga and journaling. In my mind, self-care is not just those things like the physical self-care. I have a much broader definition of self-care, and I also think about how we think. Like the thoughts that we have can be thoughts that are caring towards ourselves and not caring towards ourselves. The habits that we have can be caring towards ourselves and not caring towards ourselves. Things like, saying no to things. That's also a big part of self-care in my mind. So I'm not just talking about doing the journaling, doing yoga, which are great things if they work for you, but it's a broader definition. So then going to the question of importance, is self-care important for you? Well, here's a good one to think about, and this is for anybody, like not just Nozomi, but anybody who's asking, well, is self-care really important? I've got so much to do, I've got all this work, I've got all the family responsibilities, got little kids, especially with little kids, but it also even taking care of elderly parents or pets or whatever it is. There's a lot going on for a lot of people. Is it important? So a question that I would ask is just ask yourself, where will you be 6 months from now, continuing your current behavior, right? Where will you be? What is it costing you? So what is when you are continuing your current behavior, when you don't have that self-care, it could be that physical self-care that we talked about. It could be the way that you're thinking. What is it costing you to continue in that way? In terms of, well, health is one thing. I know from, I'm not going to go into this because this is a whole long story, but the whole, my episodes of burnout in the past, I've had burnout more than once. So that lack of self-care had a tremendous impact on my health. Then that also affects relationships. That also affects work. It's a little bit, it's not a very pleasant saying, but that saying of being dead is bad for business. We have the term karoshi in Japanese, death from overwork. We have that for a reason. So, just pause, take a moment and ask yourself, continuing the behavior that you have now, if you are neglecting self-care, what is it costing you in all of those areas? Health, relationship, work, happiness as well. So, and thank you, it's great. And Nozomi's online, I'm answering your question. You can go back and watch the replay for the first bit, but we're getting into the juicy stuff now. So we've just talked about the importance of it. And then, so you ask about how do you fit in the time? From talking to a lot of women, and I used to think the same thing too, is self-care is it's going to take so long, to do a yoga session, or, even 10 minutes kind of seemed like a long time. So, go for a massage or whatever. It seems like it's going to take too long. We don't have that time. So one thing is that you can actually start with things that are really, really tiny. One of my clients I was talking with, and I said, even just putting on some hand cream, a nice hand cream, that could be a small piece of self-care. And she's like, wow, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. And she started doing that. And just that little thing made a difference. And by doing these little things for you, taking care of yourself, because you get that nice smell as well. Kind of want to put some hand cream on now. And that starts to build evidence for you that it's okay for you. It's a good thing. It feels good to take care of yourself. So it's great when you can have those little things and then you don't necessarily need, a chunk of time for it. If we are talking about self-care, and by the way, when I mentioned about thoughts, of course, that's just something that's in the moment. That's that whole area of self-care, that's in the moment, and that's training yourself in the ways that you think, which is, what I cover a lot in the Sasaga VIP Women's Coaching Program. But if you want more time for things like to go for a massage or whatever it is like that, then it's very easy for us to think, and I used to think the same thing, I can just cram more into my day. But you have a limited number of hours. So if you are saying yes to one thing, you've got to say no to something else. If you are saying yes to, I'm going to go for a massage, I'm going to go for an hour massage. In my case, it's pretty close. It's about 10 minutes walk away, 10 minutes there and back. So it's going to be an hour and 20 minutes. Actually, they give me a nice little cup of tea afterwards as well. So it's going to be an hour and a half that comes out of my time. So if I'm saying yes to that, then I'm saying no to something else that would take up that hour and a half in the first place. So that's where a big part of the self-care as well is saying no and setting your boundaries and deciding what is the priority for you. Now, here's the thing that was really interesting with Nozomi's question, and I think maybe you're still on live, which is great, and definitely ask me any follow-up questions if you have them. But you said at the beginning of this that, you're getting in more and more work recently. That is fantastic. So here's the thing, and especially, you're in a very fortunate position because you're running your own business. So here's the thing, raise your rates. Raise your rates. And then naturally, some of the clients will say no, right? And maybe, I don't know, they might still say yes. Well, then you just raise your rates again. Because basically what it's showing is that people value your work. And so you can charge more for that work. And then when you're charging more for that work, then that's giving you, you don't have to take as much of the work in, and you have more time. Hi, Aiko, we're talking about self-care. So, and also talking about raise your rates. I know, Aiko, you're a big, a big fan of that one as well. So that's, great, a great solution for those of you who are running your own business. When you're working in the corporate world, I mean, you can certainly ask for a raise. That's a great thing to do as well. But also there, it's a question of being more intentional about what you're saying yes to at work. And that's a whole other great big topic that we can go into another time as well. So I've chatted for quite a bit on this live today, and I have a few things that I want to go and do this afternoon, so I'll be wrapping up very soon. But thank you, it's great. There's like a bunch of you joining live. I really appreciate it. So please post your comments. How do you respond to what I've talked about today in terms of self-care? Are you prioritizing self-care now? If you're not, what are you going to start to do to just make a little bit of a difference? It's not about like just completely changing everything. What can you do that works for you? Do what works for you. Make it easy for yourself. And please do ask any follow-up questions. I'm really thrilled that from the day 2 live, we have a bunch of questions. So I've got enough content. I've got enough questions to answer up to day 6 so far. And I'm very happy to receive more questions. I'm not necessarily, as I said in the very first one, not necessarily going to be doing this every day. Right now, I'm kind of, I'm in the mood, so I am sharing. I certainly won't do Sunday. Don't do Sundays. We'll see. I'm not sure about Saturday. We'll see how it goes. Good chance I'll be back on Monday, but please post your questions. I'm very happy to answer. And I'm just looking at some of the comments here right now. Okay, so I see, hi Helen, nice to hear you for the first time. How are you feeling? All right, I'm feeling all right. Yes, thank you very much. And Aiko says, I love the topic of self-care. I know you do. And yeah, it's such a great topic. Really important. All right, thank you so much for watching. If your friends, colleagues, family members would find these topics useful, we're talking about less effort, more impact. We're talking about self-care. We're talking about planning. We're talking about communication. We're talking about productivity, all those topics. If these are interesting for you, keep following. If they're interesting for your friends, family, colleagues, please let them know. Come and follow me at Helen Iwata. All right. Thank you. Make it a less effort, more impact, brilliant and joyful day. Bye-bye.